In this LensVid Talk, we're looking at motorized dollies, multi-camera control apps, and other industry news. Stick around.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, y'all.
Hello, Art.
How you doing?
And we're doing LensVid Talk 11.
I'm running out of fingers. I'd show you, but yeah.
It's more than 10. Okay, so we have a lot of topics, but this time, last time we did a very, very long one. This time it's going to be a little bit shorter.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Spare you.
no, it's taking a long time to edit all of these. But okay, let's start. The first thing that I want to talk about is something that I've been reviewing. It's the Think Tank Crossbody 15. It's a small shoulder bag.
Like a pouch?
Sort of, yeah. It's usually I don't like shoulder bags because if you stack too much into them, one shoulder is heavier than the other. It's not very convenient. Right. So I prefer usually backpacks, but this one is actually kind of nice. And
depending on the strap or what?
I think it actually can have a wider, thicker strap, but the thing itself is very nice in terms of like the division internally, and it has magnets and locks very, very well. You can take a camera plus, I would say, a lens on the camera plus maybe 2 or even 3 small lenses, or maybe one and another lens which are a little bit bigger. I was able to put, I think, inside A1 with the 70-200 f4, the new one, and the pretty big Sigma 14 millimeter.
It's pretty spacious.
Yeah, it was kind of like a little bit too much. The 70-200 with on the camera was a little bit too tall.
Yeah,
but it
kind
was
of forced it.
Yeah, it was squeezing it. I would say that if it had like a couple of like 2-3 centimeters more of height, it would probably be better. But it still works somehow. The thing itself, other than that, is pretty well. I mean, it has magnets inside. You can put even a tablet inside, a small one. The problem is that you can't put a tablet with a cover, which is a little bit annoying. I don't think that they planned for a tablet. They planned for a smartphone or something else. It would be nice if there was like a place to put the smartphone on top, but that's a whole other story. But other than that, it's great. It's kind of a replacement. I used to work with like I don't know how you call them in English, like nose bags, like the bags which basically contain
like a drop-in tote.
Yeah, the longer ones, which contains usually one camera and one lens. So it's nice, but sometimes you want more than one lens. But you don't want to take like a big bag. So this is kind of nice. It's not super expensive. It's not super cheap. It's like 100, and they have 2 models, 15 and 10. We're testing the 15.
It's 15 liters. What is it?
I'm not sure. Maybe. But it's nice. It's I would say it's very useful. But that's the camera bag. The review should be on hopefully next week, or depending on when we air this, or probably either the same week or the week afterwards. You also had been working on some on a review for a long time.
Months.
Yeah. Yeah. But actually, I'm not sure if it's your fault or it somehow happened like that, right?
Yeah, we were waiting for this. What's the name of the company? Prompter People.
Yeah.
Prompter People. They make teleprompters. Go figure. They have a bunch of different things, and we're reviewing 2 of them. One is more of a studio prompter, even though they came out with some on-the-go feel, like you can take them out in the field because they run off of V-mount batteries. So we were waiting on some parts, a special clamp to put on the V-mount battery on the whole thing. So it took a little while, but yeah, that's coming out.
They sent us next. a lot of components, right?
There's a lot of components. Most of these things, it's for our workflow, don't really make any sense, because it's like this freestanding kits and this kind of kit, and then a bag, and then they even sent a little mouse for like to run the text off the computer. great. So I basically in the review I'm talking about the things that pertain to our workflow and how we would use it, because there's just so many ways to use these different things.
Yeah.
Like my basic premise for this review is there is a broadcast studio workflow that's not us, and if you were just to do it that way, then I mean it's a different niche and a different segment of the industry, right? So, but if in here we talk a lot about just creators, right?
Yeah.
Especially in these LensVid talks, somehow that's a recurring theme, because that's where the industry is going, providing more and more options for just creators, not big studios, right? So, that's kind of the idea. Take what's available and use it in your own workflow. So it's good stuff. It's special to big studios, but
It
it's
has, if I remember correctly, it has like a monitor under the teleprompter itself to view
it
the person.
uses a monitor to project the text and another monitor for a talent monitor, so you can see yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, and the whole thing sits on this big modular setup where you can break it down easily, transport it,
And there is another small one, right?
and there's a pocket one. Yeah,
Yeah. And that's, like that more for smartphones or tablets, or
it's for There's you can put a smartphone on it, but
the other one is connected to a computer?
both of them actually.
Oh,
The
really?
small one also comes with a small monitor that you can connect to a computer, which I found pretty useful actually, because previous to that I'd been working with just a tablet, and it's always finicky. There's too many things. It's like every time I cut a take, or I have to repeat a take, and I have to cut, and it's like, okay, turn off the camera, turn off the prompt, return the prompt to the space, the place in
Well,
the
this is
text.
because
It's
you're
like
doing it for yourself. Usually doing it for, I mean,
exactly. When you have a prompter, a person who sits there and sends you text,
that's
then
not a
of course.
problem. Yeah.
So, and that's kind of what the system is for, because you connect it to a computer, you have a dedicated person for it. But I've been doing it here. I set up a wireless video
Wireless
HDMI.
transmission, yeah.
Yes, it works great. It's my laptop is right here. It's a lot easier than having to pick up a remote, because the remote also goes dead after a while. This one that I had been using, like if it's a long take or something, the remote can.
So you just control it via the computer?
Yeah, so it's basically just the big scroll pad or touch pad on the computer, just up and down, space to play, to roll the text. It's easy. I've found joy in using this.
No, but what software did you use?
They actually provide a software. It's a paid software, but they had some issue, or I don't know. I don't think it's maybe their software. Anyway, there's a new version that came out, but it won't work on
Mac?
on my Mac for some reason. But there's you can use anyone. Like
Yeah.
I tried different ones, and like even the free versions work. I mean, you don't have all the hotkeys and stuff, but all I use is
There's
up and
a
down and
space
stop, and
and
that's
yeah.
it. So
Okay. So that's also coming.
that's the next one
That's
to
the
come
next
out.
one
Yeah.
that we're publishing. Okay, so let's start talking about some news. The first one I want to talk about is a new camera from Insta 360.
Yeah.
It's called Ace Pro.
Yeah.
It's basically has a bigger sensor and bigger, I would say, than the GoPro 12. It has a flip screen and a front screen.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically what?
All that with the front screen.
No,
which is
it's a competitor to the GoPro 12.
I think it is. I think Insta 360 is well in the game now.
Yeah.
They were kind of on the fringe, and they were doing the 360 stuff. That I mean, there's competition and stuff, but
Yeah.
I mean, they kind of merged that with the what do you call it, the action cam market. So they're doing good stuff. I mean, the
You're
stabilization is
using
amazing.
the actual 360
The 360 X 3. I think it's the latest one,
Yeah.
unless
And
a new one
we're
came
we're
out.
supposed to test at some point
We have the tiny little one.
the tiny one.
Yeah, that I haven't even opened yet.
Yeah,
So,
we need to try it.
so yeah, it's great. I mean, again, it's one of those things. That market, that niche, has developed so well. It's, I don't know. For me, it's hard to surprise me right now with what they're coming out with.
Oh,
An extra screen,
oh,
always
good.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's not new in the industry. We have seen that before.
No, of course.
I think in this case, I think it has a bigger sensor than the GoPro 12, so that, hopefully it should work better in low light, I'm
Right.
guessing. That's one point. Onto something else. This is something that has been it's been in, and then it basically returned after first attempt raising money on crowdfunding, basically. It's called the Hyperdolly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if we talked about this in the past. Maybe we talked about it
No, it was
a year
while
ago. Yeah.
A while ago, and I don't know if I ever saw it out. Did they?
No, they didn't complete it for whatever reason. I don't know.
Okay.
But this one is
We should explain what it is. A Hyperdolly is basically
a dolly
a
with
dolly, a motorized
motors,
dolly,
yeah.
and it's remote controlled, and seems like a great idea, but it never came out. The first one never came out. This is the second one now.
This is the improved one. So I've been talking to them, and I asked them, what changed. So because you introduced this like whatever years ago, and for I don't know what was the reason, but it didn't come through. And now you have a new version, which will hopefully reach the market early next year, and they wrote down a couple of like improvements. So it has a 2.4 gigahertz remote control, which looks nice. Sent me some images. It has replaceable batteries. It has soft wheels, which apparently should. They call it a crucial change. To be more like the flow needs to be more smooth,
Right.
because obviously
I mean, if
the
everything's
original
shaking.
wheels were probably harder, and if you're moving on I'm not sure about the studio, but if you're moving on an slightly less even terrain, I know gravel or even like
asphalt or
even
something.
asphalt, exactly. Because I think on their videos you see how they move around like a car on
Yeah.
asphalt, and obviously soft wheels will be a better solution. But that's another thing. The speed has also increased, so it has twice the speed of the original version, so that's nice. It's supposed to be, it's kind of difficult to understand, but they say it's 27 centimeters per second. It doesn't tell me exactly too much.
Well, here's 1, 2, 3, 2, 2. That's 27 centimeters. That's this long. It's not. You don't want it blazing fast.
No,
I mean,
no,
it's
no,
not
no,
like
no.
you want to run with it.
No.
So that's fast enough. I guess.
If you're shooting stationary objects, then speed is not really an issue because you can always like speed it up. If you're shooting stuff in situations where things change, either the lighting change or somebody is in the frame or something is happening in the frame, then speed does play a part. So it depends on what
but 20. I mean, that seems fast enough.
Yeah, I think so.
For any slider, for example, I mean, we have.
No, but this
How long
moves
is it?
all along much larger or longer trajectories. So it's
Well, yeah, ideally, because
That's the whole thing.
that's what the dolly is for, right? Because if not, you can just use a slider, right? Yeah, you
Exactly.
want instead
you
of
want it to
big-
move long and fast.
because ideally you would have rails, right? But this eliminates the need for rails, and if you want to go, 10 feet, even 10 yards, that would take a while.
Yeah.
At 27 centimeters a second.
So it also has a more powerful motor, which makes sense if it's faster. It has larger dimensions for a more stable tripod. So the whole thing, basically, it's a dolly and you put a tripod on top of it. Obviously, you don't want it to fall and you want to put a beefy one on top of it. And they had added a handle for carrying and a motor brake for basically to lock the motor. So that's the main changes that they suggested. So I'll put the link and everything below for people who are interested in this. Hopefully this will get funded and we can maybe try it next year at some point. We've been talking
That'd
to
be
them.
great, yeah.
This one is very interesting. Canon just introduced this week, I think, a multi-camera control app.
We've talked about that before.
We've talked to Sony about
right.
Not publicly,
Exactly.
privately, basically in IBC. This is something that we mentioned to them because this is something that we really need. Even in this sort of situation where we have like 3 cameras, there is no way you need to physically go behind each camera and control it. Or at max, you can control 1 camera, or if you have 3 phones, but that's stupid. So this is really cool. The only issue that I'm seeing is that they only have this for their like C70, C300, like the
cinema line.
Not even I think all the cinema line, just part of it. So I know it's kind of it's good that they're doing it, but why restrict it to only the cinema line? People are using, like for interviews, people are using on R5, R5C, whatever,
There's a big market of
R6,
people that shoot video, multiple cameras.
Of course.
And I would think it's the most logical thing to give.
It's a little bit it's a Canon-like behavior to restrict stuff to their cinema line.
But Sony like behavior as well, because we're not getting even that.
That's and we will talk about what Sony is doing next. So, but I'm pretty excited about the idea itself. Hopefully, Sony will come up with something that will not be restricted to the FX line or whatever. Because even with the app that for the video, right? What's the
Creators app? Sony or what?
No, I'm talking about Sony, but I'm talking about the new video app. Do you remember they introduced around the IBC?
Yeah.
I don't remember the name of it, but that one, they promised that the A7S III and the A1 will also be included in that. So at least that. So maybe when they come up with this, if they come up with the multi-camera thing, it won't be restricted to only to the FX line. Now, talking about Sony and talking about firmware, this one,
that's some Sony behavior.
Yeah, that's. Look, I know. I've heard all sorts of opinions about this, but let's just mention what this is. They announced, I think, again this week, that they have a firmware update. This is, I think, only for the A7 IV, something like that?
Yeah, it's restricted to something.
Regardless, it's basically a very, very, very tiny paid firmware update that will allow you to add custom guidelines to your camera.
To your camera screen, yeah.
Yeah, and you can create basically more or less whatever guidelines you want, put them in the camera. I think you have a number of them, 3 or whatever, and use them for stills, I think for video as well. I know. I'm guessing.
Yeah. For another $150, maybe.
Yeah, and it costs $150 per camera.
Right.
So I don't know what to think about it. On the one hand, it's nice that they actually had it or added it. I kind of understand that this came probably from people who actually need this. Let's say, I heard I think Tony Northrup talked about this. He said that maybe like people are shooting for yearbooks, for like high school yearbooks and stuff like that, who needs everybody to be like at the same height in the frame with different heights of people and whatever, like stuff like that. It could be other things as well, but it sort of makes sense. And $150, if this really saves you a lot of trouble, in post, okay. But I kind of don't like the concept, because if this is the direction, then every small thing is going to cost you a lot of money, it's not something that I would like to see, because other companies are not charging for the most part. I mean, depends on the specific firmware.
If
but
they open this up to third-party developers, and we talked about, I think last time we talked about cameras having an OS operating system. That would be different. Then you're like, okay, somebody's doing something very specific that you need and you've always wanted.
That's for sure.
Tape
I would
on
pay
your
for
camera
it.
screen, then you pay for it. But this is only for select users in your audience.
You don't need to buy this, obviously.
No, of course not. You don't.
But
it was funny. One of the comments somebody said in the news section where this came up was like, "Is it April's Fool? April Fools or something?"
Yeah. It sounds very strange.
Yeah, there's a lot of backlash, of course.
Yeah.
I don't know.
My problem is not necessarily with this one. As I said, I kind of understand why they did it and why they're charging for it. But if this is the direction that they're going to go, that's not something that I would like to see.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see what's coming next. I mean, obviously they said that it didn't say, but I'm guessing that like the A1 and A7S3 firmware is not going to be like they're not going to charge for it. It's like a regular whatever firmware. But who knows? Maybe they will release it plus another charged, paid firmware with all sorts of other stuff.
Everything these days is like the base version and the pro version.
Yeah,
right?
or service. That's another thing.
That would I wouldn't mind paying for that, because a lot of times, like, there's people that have been waiting
depending
for
what the service is going to be.
Well, depending, yeah. But I mean, how many people have been wanting an upgrade for years for the 7S3, for example, right? If they had paid for it, and then maybe they would have more say in.
First of all, yes, but it needs to be very, very, very substantial. Like a lot of very important features, not like small things that
not just
already other cameras have or something like that. I mean, what's the point? So, you mentioned, I want to just say something, we'll probably get back to this on other videos as well, but you mentioned that cameras don't have an OS. Well, they sort of do, but it's proprietary for each manufacturers and stuff like that. If I remember correctly, I'm not 100% sure, if you know something about this, like this part of history, let us know in the comments. But I'm talking about the beginning of Android, when the OS was just at the beginning stages, even before it was announced for smartphones. As far as I remember, I think it was developed as a potential OS for cameras. But the market was completely different back then.
Oh, of course.
But we're talking like a little bit probably after the first iPhone. The first iPhone is 2007, I think. Yeah. So 2008, 9, I don't remember, but somewhere along the.
I've always thought that Android would be a good system for a general.
There were attempts. Nikon tried that, and didn't succeed. I think that the closest that we got was probably Samsung, which tried it. Samsung had a chance to do this, and I mean, if any company could have done that, that was probably Samsung, because they make they make everything, but they also, I mean, back then they made cameras. They had a pretty nice APS-C line. And it was at the time of, I don't know if you remember the NX 500 and NX1 and all these cameras. We actually tested a few of them. They weren't that bad. So, I know. So just anecdotal history, but it is what it is. So that was the Canon and the Sony firmware. There is a new interesting feature that I've just tested on the beta version of Premiere Pro. I think some of it just was announced just recently in the regular version. It's basically fill words removal tool. So when I'm saying M, like you can remove all of these. Now, first of all, this is very useful, obviously, for like a talk like this, and when you're editing, you can remove all of these words, but or just fill words. But the problem is that, okay, let's say that you remove. I'm asking you as an editor. Art is a much more talented editor than I am, but if you need to remove like a person. I say a lot of M's, you know, people at the first videos for LensVid, a lot of people used to write like M on all my videos because I was talking for like 20 minutes and saying M every 5 seconds, which was kind of annoying. But the problem is, you know, how do you solve this? Okay, so you have a tool that finds them and removes them. But then you have cut. Yeah, what do you do with that?
And B-roll. No, but that's the thing. It's like it depends on. Yeah, it could cut it. That's the easy part.
You can use two angles, but then you will jump between two angles all the time.
It's never gonna be pretty.
Annoying.
I mean, unless you consciously cut those out in your speech, it's always gonna be, unless you have a bunch of B-roll to cover it with.
So this is what I'm saying. This is not that I mean. It's sort of useful, but not really, depending on the person.
Exactly. If you're doing a good job at cutting those out and you have them sparingly, and then you have some cuts and you have two angles, then you can get away with it.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing. But yeah, it's not like it's gonna clean up any speech and make it flow, right?
Do you have something like this in DaVinci? You edit in DaVinci?
There's cut that out. There is, well, you have the text edit, so you can do that
manually.
Yeah, manually.
Oh, this is automatic.
Right. So no, there's not an automatic feature yet. I tried something. I forget what the name of it is. It's like one of those AI services. Okay. Where not only does it cut out the filler words, it also cuts the takes. If it understands that this is the same take over and over, really? It's supposed to find the best.
Yeah, you actually tried it and it found the good takes?
I would have to go...
It's kind of risky, because if it didn't, and then...
It may just take the last one. I didn't go back to check.
Usually very good.
That's, for me, when I edit, I was like, I'll just go to the last one, because unless I remember something. Yeah. Unless I remember there's something in there that I need to add, whatever. So yeah, it was pretty good.
It's paid. Do you remember the name of the service?
I can send it to you. You can put it on the screen.
Okay. It's a paid service?
There's a free version, I think, that I tried. It was very early when I tried it, so maybe now it's improved. It's improving.
These AI things now. Keep improving all the time.
The problem that they had was you could, once the edit is done, you can download the timeline or the actual video, right? Of course, the timeline is better because you can go back and refine.
Yeah.
But it had problems, like it would give you the timeline, but the timeline wouldn't work in the editor, so some issues. I talked to them a couple of times. I didn't find it very useful. I mean, it is, but for my first experience, it wasn't the best, so I thought I'd just give it time. It
needs to be integrated probably into DaVinci and Premiere.
Exactly. Once it's in native, or like a plugin where you can just do it native inside the editor, that would be great, because there you go. There's your... Usually the process that my workflow to cut that, the talking head is... It won't take me a lot of time. Like for a very long one, maybe. Yeah, I'd use one of these.
Okay, so that's interesting, and it's probably only going to improve from here. There is a new wireless. We talked about the wireless transmitter. So Hollyland has a new updated Hollyland Mars 402 S.
400S2, yeah.
Yeah. Did we try the 400 or
400?
I think we didn't try it. We tried the 300, right?
That's right. We did the 300, and then we skipped it to the 4K one.
and we had another one, I think, in the middle, which doesn't belong to any of these families.
Yeah, it was like a separate line or something.
Yeah.
I can't remember which one it is.
Not sure why they need so many lines, honestly, but I've been writing to them, asking them what are the differences. I'm not 100% sure. If I'll get a reply, I'll put it on the screen, but at the moment it's just know that there is a new updated model. So basically I'll just put it on the screen if there are any substantial. I'm guessing that there are some changes, because otherwise what's the point? But externally it looks very similar to the previous one.
I mean, all of the ones that we've tested, even
no, this one I think the 400 looks a little bit different. It's sort of same.
I mean, as far as functionality, they all pair easily, like seamlessly. We've never had problems with connections. Hollyland is really good at stable.
This is why I'm saying I don't understand why they have so many lines.
Right.
There are some issues with, like, not issues, but there are some aspects of, like, the range. We don't really care about the range usually. We don't work at 100 or 200 meter range anyway.
Who does? Really? Like,
honestly,
I mean, when you're working on a set, right? As big as your set is, unless maybe if you're doing like some big
car chase
thing there, but I think you'd use something a lot beefier than this.
Probably.
For that. So, I mean, if we're talking 100 yards, you can do that's a big production.
Yeah.
Right. So, and you can get away with, we've done tests here from the studio window out to the street, and it's always been great. So,
maybe
how much better can it get is a question.
Even weddings, if you want to put a camera, concerts, still,
concerts, maybe
a tall something up on the maybe. Anyway, so I'll mention what the changes are if I know. We have, well, that's not a new product or anything. That's more of just
industry news.
Yeah. Rode just announced that they are buying Mackie. Yeah, right.
Is it Mikey or Mackie?
Oh, I think it's it's
Mikey the lenses.
No, it's a speaker and mixer company.
Oh, okay, so not.
They're actually kind of famous. I heard about them many years ago. They have like really nice, I think smallish sort of speakers.
Like house entertainment systems.
No, more I think for like editing audio and stuff like that. Studios, and mixers. They have all sorts of mixers, and since Rode themselves, they don't have speakers as far as I know, but they do have mixers, or not exactly mixers, but all sorts of boards and
tuning.
I have their not mix pre. I'll put it on the screen, the unit that I have, but it's great. I have it at home, works fantastically well. So they're expanding basically, and I think it makes a lot of sense for them to get into more audio segments that they were not there until now, basically. So that's Rode. OWC, company that we tested quite a few of their products in the past. They have a new, very stylish looking external NVMe. It's called Express 1M2. It's based on USB 4, so it's not a Thunderbolt, but still very fast. Basically, I think the same speed or so. Yeah. And last time we talked about USB 5 and Thunderbolt 5. So this is still USB 4. There are no Thunderbolt 5 and USB 5 devices on the market yet. But this is very fast. It's like 3,000 megabytes per second speed. And what I liked about this, I don't know if you had a chance to view the actual image or video. They had a short video. It has like cooling ribs.
Dissipation.
But it's sort of like it's thin, but with like metal ribs for cooling. So it's kind of nice. All these very fast NVMEs tend to run pretty hot. So it's a good thing. I'll put the price on the screen. I'm not sure what sizes do they have. I'm guessing probably 1, 2. I'm not sure about 4. terabytes. So pretty cool. I think that's everything. I said that that one is going to be short.
Yeah.
So everybody, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel
Check
if you
out
want
the
to.
website.
Yeah, if you want to watch more videos, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye. In this LensVid Talk, we're looking at motorized dollies, something, and something else, and other industry news. Motorized dollies, multi-camera control apps, and other industry news.